Let's start with the latest on the fragile Middle East truce deal. Officials from Hamas say an agreement has been reached for the release of all of the Palestinian prisoners Israel refused to free last weekend. They'll be exchanged for the bodies of 4 Israeli hostages killed during the 7th of October attacks. But it remains unclear when the exchange will take place. On Saturday, Israel said it was halting the release of over 600 Palestinians because Hamas was using hostages for propaganda purposes. Hamas accused Israel of deliberately disrupting the ceasefire deal. Meanwhile, the funeral service has taken place for Shiri Bibas and her 2 sons, Kafir and Ariel, the youngest hostages taken on October the 7th. Our Middle East correspondent Yolande Knell is in Jerusalem for us and has the latest on the current state of play when it comes to the ceasefire.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a confusing picture that's emerged over the course of the day. Hamas said from late last night that mediation efforts had gone on in Cairo had resolved this latest impasse over the release of these 600 Palestinian prisoners, said that it was going to go ahead with the handing over of the 4 remaining Israeli hostage bodies that it's supposed to hand over in this initial 6-week stage of the Gaza ceasefire deal. And we're expecting another set of Palestinian prisoners to be released in exchange for those bodies as well. But the latest statement that has come from Hamas, it now says the date for this exchange will be announced at what it describes as the right time. It said that the swap would take place through what it called a new mechanism guaranteeing Israel's commitment without giving more details on that.
So there's still quite a lot of clarification that's needed, Yolande. But meanwhile, today we've seen thousands of people line the streets on the road to kibbutz near Oz because, of course, Shiri Bibas and her 2 sons, they have really become symbols of Israel's hostage ordeal. And I see Yardan Bibas has been delivering a eulogy to his wife. What's he been saying?
So he gave this very loving tribute to his wife Shiri and to his 2 little sons, and talked too about what he saw as his failure to protect them on the 7th of October. He was wearing an orange kippah or skull cap. Many of the people, tens of thousands according to the Israeli media, that lined the route to watch this funeral procession go past, they were carrying orange balloons. This colour has really come to symbolise these 2 little boys and indeed the plight of the hostages and their families more widely because of the little boys' bright red hair. Kafir Bibas was the youngest of the 251 hostages who were taken the 7th of October. His brother Ariel was just 4, and we had their bodies returned along with that of their mother last week as part of this ongoing exchange of hostages, both live and the bodies of some hostages as well. It's now going to be once this week's proceedings have been completed, if all goes to plan, 33 hostages that have been handed over in exchange for about 2,000 Palestinian prisoners and detainees being released from Israeli jails and detention centres.
And Yolande, in Gaza itself, a bright blue day behind you, but it's been incredibly cold. What is the latest on the humanitarian situation there with these reports that young children are continuing to die from hypothermia?
Yeah, there have been some very grim videos that have been shared on social media with Palestinian medics saying that in the past week or more, we've had this extremely cold wintry weather and that 6 infants have died of hypothermia. It really underlines how very difficult living conditions are for hundreds of thousands of Palestinians who are currently living in tents or in the rubble of homes, war-damaged buildings. And while there has been this surge in humanitarian aid that has gone in over the past 6 weeks, the UN and other agencies really highlighting that much more still needs to be done, particularly in terms of shelter and medical care for people.